What is going on, guys? It's Adam and Kate Marf, and this is an official alert and an official broadcast over on DLive Only. Tonight, we are going to go over a lot of stuff. We are going to be going over December 18th in just 2 days' time, what is possible, what has led up to that day, what was set up 2 years ago for that day, and what has happened earlier today, what has happened yesterday, and the things that you might not have heard. Again, this is an official broadcast that I hope everyone sees on the replay. I hope you guys end up doing that. Make sure to spread tomorrow. If people don't get to it by tomorrow, we're going to have our normal show. Make sure to tell people in the chat. Just go to the website and they'll be able to click on this special broadcast and go back and watch this again. I am Adam, aka Marf, and this, of course, is Marfugal News. This is a live show, so anything can happen. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. With that out of the way, make sure to go over to our website and get notifications. If you are missing notifications, of course, you can always go there and sign up for ours. Again, the only purpose of that, it will actually send you a notification directly to your phone, a push notification that will let you know that we are physically live. It won't let you know we're live in 5 hours. It's going to tell you, boom, we're going live. So remember that, and usually you can click that. It will bring you right into the stream. Then, of course, all of the stuff that we're going to say here has a source, and we're going to let you guys know. You can go there and read the rest of it. You can read it in full. You can always check our sources. You can check what we are saying. Again, if you go there now, see, this is, I'm going to update this, and you'll see it's very easy to navigate. You'll see this thumbnail, December 18th, and it says December 18th, many prepare. That title may change. I don't know. It depends on what we can end up doing with it. Again, you click on that, and then right down below, you'll see every single article, every single tweet, every single video, every single picture that we show you here today is here. We're going to be talking about a ton of stuff. So again, if you need to stop, pause it. I don't know. I might even do some sort of time code or something on this episode, because there is so much important stuff all in one place. I'll let you guys know this right now. We are we're taking a hit. We're not doing YouTube. We're not doing ad revenue for this. This doesn't really, nobody really watches these replays, which is crazy. For this one, I hope they do. Again, the more people, the more views we get over here does not matter. It does not matter if we get, again, replay views on this. That doesn't do any good. So I hope that communicates how important this is, that we're doing this, and we're doing this for a very good reason. And there's very good information behind this. Dex, let's introduce yourself. Again, this is my internet brother / co-host. Dex, what is going on, and how are you doing?
Hey, Adam. I'm doing well, and hello, Fugal fam. Really a great show, a lot of information tonight, and it's really fun when we do these DLive Only shows, because we got a little bit more freedom to get some of this information out that we need to really talk about. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, one thing that DLive does not have is it doesn't have that 15,000 word filter words that YouTube has now, and it's run by algorithms. Whereas DLive, a human being actually sees your content and says, okay, this isn't suitable, this is suitable. What we will be talking about tonight is completely suitable for communication to other human beings, which I do love, and I'm not trying to put down, I'm not putting down any other platforms. I'm just putting one up very high. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm going to triple check to make sure that we are on here. And yes, it looks like we have over 7,000 people live. And I'm glad we made that. And I sure hope more pop in, because this is going to be a doozy. So a lot of people are asking, what is going on? Well, first of all, I also want to kind of start this off with, separately from the show, separately from everything else, separately from, my information and the stuff that I get, family members have now gotten texts. Basically, we have a few people that have military, or even there's somebody who is a family friend that is DOD. that person basically told, and this is some weird stuff here because I understand the first part. The first part was saying, hey, there might be a media blackout on December 18th, Friday, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But also to download every other kind of alternate communications app that some of these main ones are. It's a possibility that they may go down. Then also told this person to transfer property. It's something that basically in this case, when somebody passes away, they're going to pass down a piece of land. No big deal. Like everybody has, somebody in the family that's passing something down. So this person is having a small piece of land passed down when that person dies. This DOD member said, transfer it now rather than wait until she passes away. They're saying, get this done now, tomorrow. Also said, have money on hand, have food and supplies. Now, all preppers say that every single day. But coming from that person, it is definitely a big deal. And again, that's something totally separate from any of our sources, any of the people that we have here. Do I think that this could be something big? I absolutely do. Am I hoping for nothing to happen and I'm hoping for just some bad news to come out and everybody's going to go, oh my gosh, this is crazy? Both. I don't know. On the side of that's the communications thing, many people are getting messages from people in the know saying, specifically around internet stuff, hey, download other comms. So, in that worst case scenario, just we lose a couple websites, maybe an internet outage for a day, or some of the main Fortune 500 clubs. Now, when you tie this all into the big SolarWinds hack, this is a big deal. If you did not watch that last episode, which I know a lot of you didn't because there was only 37,000 people that watched that show 2 days ago, or 2 days ago, basically that explained that SolarWinds hack. All 5 military branches are at risk. The Pentagon is at risk, which, by the way, we're going to talk about here in a second. Some sources say that they have shut down. Again, I will let you guys know, and I'll give you on a plate the sources that are saying that so you can be the judge for yourself. We are going to pass on some stuff. Again, we will clarify what is opinion, what is, accepted fact, what is Associated Press, and what is not. I knew those weren't fitting right. They were backwards. Okay, so first off, government minimizing the most prolific hack of its system in history. And this is exactly what I was talking about. It says, just how bad was the hack of U.S. government agencies that was discovered last week? Some cyber experts say it could be the worst in U.S. history, even more serious than the 1990s Moonlight Maze hack that stole documents that, if stacked on top of each other, would be 3 times the size of the Washington Monument. That, again, was the previous hack in the 1990s that had access to that much paperwork, that much confidential information. And this is bigger than that, and I think by far the biggest we've ever seen in modern history, the biggest one in the world. It says, and again, this is involving the world. This isn't just regional. This is the entire world, corporations, everything. It says the damage assessment is in its infancy, but given the number of agencies targeted and the length of time that the criminals had before they were detected, it must be considerable. It says, this is the Associated Press. So this you can take to the bank. This is straight up not only mainstream, but confirmed through every single source. Everyone backed this up. This is 100%. Take it to the bank. You cannot, they're not censoring this. This is boom. This is there. It says U.S. government agencies, including the Treasury and Commerce departments, were among dozens of high-value public and private sector targets known to have been infiltrated as far back as March through a commercial software update distributed to thousands of companies and government agencies worldwide. Just to remind you, that's worldwide. And then it says, in this case, quote, several Washington Monument piles of documents that they took from different government agencies is probably a realistic estimate. It says, Rid said, how would they use that is the question. They themselves most likely don't know yet. I don't believe that. I don't think that they don't know what they're going to do with all this information. I don't think that this is a backyard, metal container, some nerd going, I hacked into the system. I can do anything. This is not. This is not a Angel Has Fallen type of dude, like sitting in the basement, No. This is one of the largest operations I think that will ever come to light, and a lot of people agree with me on this. It says the Trump administration has not said which agencies were hacked, and so far no private sector victims have come forward. Again, with a lot of the private sector, they won't come forward because they don't want you to know that possibly your information or anybody else's is at risk. It says traditionally defense contractors and telecommunications companies have been popular targets with state-backed cyber spies. Now, I just want you to rewind a little bit. Remember just a few weeks ago that the hospitals nationwide had issues. They actually had to move surgeries. They had to move patients because they couldn't log into their systems. Now, people go, well, why wouldn't you just do the surgery without it? Because everything has to have a chain of records. Everything has to be recorded. We're completely dependent on computers to do today's, medical work. Everything they had to have logged in. And that actually went back to a Microsoft 365 hack that got in and basically wouldn't let them log into their systems. This same day, there was a nationwide 911 outage. Again, this was something that they said was, totally separate. Then we just covered last night. There was another big one where they couldn't verify. Google, YouTube was working if you didn't log in. If you understand the basics of it, basically, if you had to log in, you couldn't get verified. Therefore, you could not enter or watch anything on YouTube. Once people found out that they went incognito, not signed in, then they could use YouTube. What does that say to you? That means you couldn't go in as a logged in user. This is huge. So Google, all of YouTube, everything, all their services, Gmail, everything. They said they ran out of storage. I'll just ask you. I'm not gonna give you the answer on that, but what do you think? Do you think that Google ran out of storage and it just so happens that the same thing happened to them that the hospitals and the 911 system had? That I'll leave up to you. It says, well, the government has been downplaying the hack in public. Behind the scenes, there's been a flurry of worry and activity. And speaking of activity, I'm going to read you a text later on that is containing basically movements of insane proportions. If it's true, it's incredibly, incredibly big news. It says President Donald Trump's National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien cut short an overseas trip to hold meetings on the hack and was convene a top-level interagency meeting later this week, the White House said in a statement. It says O'Brien had been scheduled to return Saturday and had to scrap plans to visit officials in Italy, Germany, Switzerland, and Britain, said an official familiar with his itinerary who was not authorized to discuss it and spoke on the condition of anonymity. It also says that earlier the White House said a coordinating team had been created to respond, including the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. I apologize about that. It says, it should be noted that the government is not in the habit of announcing its security failures to the world. And this is a big one. Depends on who's running it, though. Some folks believe that it's the good guys doing this. I don't know, but I do know the severity of this situation is gigantic. We'll get to December 18th and why that's important, why the executive order from 2 years ago makes a huge difference into what's going on. Infallible Ghost, thanks for subscribing. Again, over on YouTube, Christina Martiocho. Hopefully you're over here along with Ebony Makowski. Thank you again, Susan Donahue, for being the last one out last show. And then again, I'll go over and see you guys over on DLive. Jerbear 4551, thank you and welcome to the Fugel fam. Event 201, nice name. Welcome to the Fugel fam as well. Jitterbug Babe, thank you for following. Breaking Bread, thank you for coming over. I'm hoping you came over from YouTube there. Occam's Razor, thank you for subbing. Blue Eyes 2020, and again, that's actually a resub, so thank you. Mile High, thank you for welcome to the fam. And if I do say a new people just followed, make sure to welcome them over here. Again, make sure that they feel welcome here. Tuck Pup, thank you, and it's nice to see you again. Says Cousin works for FEMA, said preparing for EMP and major quakes and have been prepped for cyber attack. Much love. By the way, I'm getting a little bit sick here, so I apologize if I'm nasally. So, cousin works for FEMA, said preparing for EMP. I don't want to give you my opinion on that because you guys know my opinion on that. But otherwise, I don't want to, let them say, oh, he said that this. No. I just want you to know that with the current solar flares, and by the way, Wages World and others have pointed out that there was just a massive solar flare after we just had this big scare where if this thing hit us, it would have put us in the medieval ages. There was just another solar flare. More on the solar stuff. We'll probably go over that tomorrow as well. But today, holy moly. Mama of Six, Fugel fan, thank you for the resub. American Jim, welcome. Ken Kilmurray, welcome. Harrow, welcome. Freedom Thunder. We got lots of new followers today. Greg W, thank you, welcome. Glad you came over. Veteran Steve, thank you for just being here. Now you see me, now you don't. Thanks for gifting. Agarwood, thank you guys. All right, let's get through this because we have a lot to go over. So just to sum up, this hack is one of the largest in history. It affects all 5 branches of the military. It affects the Pentagon, which we will talk about here in a minute. Actually, for the first time ever, sending people home on Christmas Eve on a Friday, I think. I'm pretty sure that's a Friday.
It's Thursday. Thursday and Friday. Well, Friday is Christmas, so it gives it a 4-day weekend. And Adam, on the size of that hack, just to put it out there, I want to say that the software was used by 300,000 customers. So, and that ranges from Fortune 500, across the gamut. There's, you can't turn around in the tech space and not find a company using that product. So yeah, it's a big deal. And we talked about, like you said, we talked about that in the last show, but it is everywhere.
And just to be clear, the companies affected, apparently, and this is what you said, right? Dex is a tech expert. He's been in tech companies most of his adult life. His career before he basically retired early was tech. So I do trust his word 100% when it comes to tech companies, their decisions behind things, kind of the view on it. Dex, what did you say about them manually updating? So it's 300,000, but this particular
so what
update,
they did was they had an update to the software, and the hackers had infiltrated the update. So basically, they got their hacked code put into the update incognito, so they didn't know it was there. So then the company is pushing out the update to their customers. Customers will take the update and apply it. Some customers may apply it right away. Other customers may not. Sometimes if you're running a big data center, you've got a lot of things. You don't just constantly put updates in. You do security patches, but certain updates you may not, or you may look at them. So there's always a gap in time. But it seems like this went back to March is the latest date we just heard in this one article. It said it goes back to March. So that means the update would have been out before March. So that's a pretty long time for companies to apply an update. So it's really... It has basically the potential to be deployed quite a bit, I think.
Okay, and they probably said that to reduce the worry, but we're talking about it was March when that it was before March when the update went out. It's been since March that this hack. How many companies do you think, especially big corporations, said, "Oh, we'll do the update in 6 months, 6 months from now"? Or do you think that they have a department that's literally there to make sure that they're updating all of their software, not only every month, but every week?
I mean, look, the day this came out and they announced and they told everybody in America saying, hey, if you have this software, you need to shut it down immediately. That day is the same day Google went down across the board. Right? Did they just shut down everything so they could go rip it out in a hurry? Did they get affected? I don't know. I'm not saying they did. It's totally just a question.
Wasn't there something else on the same day as Google that was not talked about? Didn't we go over one more thing that was pretty big? We've also had satellites go down. We're talking about what if we have a world with possibly no electricity? Again, what if we have a world with no internet, period, no communications? Think about, and people go, well, no internet, great. I'll go outside and play basketball or something. I think people don't understand the scale that the internet, the complete system, how much all of our world is now dependent on it. Everything you can think of, from street lights to, you're talking pandemonium if the entire internet goes down for some reason, or 99% of the companies we actually use. It makes sense why this person, family friend, is saying, make sure to look at these little alternate communication routes to try to get around. Maybe the internet will still work, but 99% of the bigger companies will be down, so you're going to need to use backup routes. And I'm not talking Parler. I'm talking like, some little Play Store app that you've never heard of, but will somehow work after everything else is not. So
yeah, I would definitely try Signal. I don't know that if that will go down in a major blackout or not, but I do know it's end-to-end encrypted. So if you don't have Signal, it's worth getting. It's one of the alternates, but definitely look at having that installed as a backup. And of course, email. If there's important people you need to communicate with, having extra email accounts on different services is a good idea as well.
Not only having Gmail, having Yahoo, having what I wouldn't say.
Or just go get a Proton
Hotmail
account, which is out of the country, right?
Yep, exactly. So those are all different things you can do. I'm sure over the next, I don't know what we can do, but I'm sure for the preppers in the community that are watching right now, maybe you guys can all individually think of things to help people in the next day. Make a video today and tomorrow on how to help, be creative on what things specifically around what possibilities are around this. Now, this is, I want to make sure that people know, this is the Gateway Pundit. So, if you put this out on mainstream, people are going to go, oh, well, it's the Gateway Pundit. Just like, what do you call it? You can't. CNN is so biased when they put something out. It's like you've got to take that with a grain of salt. Same with Gateway Pundit in a way, because they aren't officially accepted. So I just want to make sure you guys know the Gateway Pundit is definitely biased in a way as well. So getting that out of the way, I'm going to tell you why I believe that this is actually something that is real. And it goes along with everything I've heard and everything that our military group. We have over 500 active and retired military in our group that we actually we're new about. I'm sure we have more than that. But those were the folks that were in our Discord before it got taken for that specific reason. I don't think the United States, and nobody was doing anything wrong. They just don't want any kind of military group that big online right now. Period. They took us down for no reason because a couple of the people were in the same groups as other groups. So, pretty crazy stuff. Again, didn't correlate with any other service, just that one. And that's the only place we had those. Breaking. Pentagon imposes emergency shutdown of its secret internet protocol router network. Handles classified information up to the secret level. Now, I'm going to read this, and I just want you to keep that in mind. It says the Pentagon imposed an emergency shutdown of computer network handling classified material on Tuesday. This follows the rare Emergency Directive 2101 on Sunday night by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, which, by the way, that is a fact. That is something we can back up with the Associated Press. We can back up that part. as far as this, it says Sunday night's directive was only the fifth emergency directive issued by CISA. That is a fact. That is something you can look up yourself, under the authorities granted in Congress by the Cybersecurity Act of 2015. According to Just the News, the Pentagon has imposed an emergency shutdown of its secret internet protocol router network, which handles the classified information up to the secret level. It says the Pentagon on Tuesday ordered the emergency shutdown of a classified internal communications network, 3 Defense Department sources confirmed. Now, one reason I believe this is because the actual hack, after it happened, they were suggesting that they shut down and start over all this stuff. So very well, this could be taking something that obviously it could be a normal thing. They're not publicly saying it, right? But they are doing what they suggested and saying, we got to shut this whole thing down and bring it back up, because it would be clearing this Trojan, this whatever this thing is. It says the unprecedented daytime shutdown comes amid recent revelations that other federal agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, were breached by hackers. That is a fact. All of these branches, 100%, Associated Press says every one of these was affected. All 5 branches of the military, all of these different agencies, FBI, everything. This could be the biggest news we've seen yet, ever. That's why I made sure to let you guys know, and I hope you guys pass the word on, friends and family, bring them to that replay once it's done on the website, marfugelnews.com. The Defense Department alerted employees that the SIPRNet system was being shut down in the late morning for emergency software updates. That makes sense. It says the system, known as the Secret Internet Protocol Router Network, handles classified information. So that was put out. Did they shut down their services? We're going to talk about the Pentagon later, because that comes back into play for something that is now changed, where for the first time on the 24th, on Christmas Eve, their employees are going home because it is now classified as a federal holiday, which a lot of people are praising for, because the previous administration took the Christmas tree out of the White House. But what
I was gonna say, I can confirm from the tech standpoint that having a shutdown midday is indicative of something that's emergency based, right? Typically, if you're going to do an update, a patch, you've got something semi-critical, semi-important to roll out, you let everyone know, hey, the system's going to be down tonight between these hours and those hours. You, even if it's unplanned, but short planned, you would give a notice like that, or you would have a plan for it. So to just come out in the middle of the day and say we're shutting it down, if that's what went down, then that means it was serious, very serious.
And not only that, we actually have the evidence to say that other agencies have not only been bringing people in and doing this, that they are all communicating via, they're actually, like, some of them are telling other people to get off Twitter and all of this other stuff. So there's some tie into what they are publicly saying and what they're privately doing. It's really strange stuff. So again, that was, I wanted to clarify, the Gateway Pundit. So take it or leave it. You can go read the entire. And by the way, I'm not saying that they're not a great news source. Again, they have broken several stories. They just don't get that acceptance as some of the bigger ones get. Other places would consider it not an authoritative source. But what makes an authoritative source right now? A lot of the big news is being broken by these small outlets, and then the big news snatches it after it gets too big to shove under the rug. Then they'll let you know. In fact, I can't even tell you how many big, huge stories of the last 2 years have been broken by these tiny companies, and Gateway is not actually tiny. So now, Intel community assessment delayed. This is Fox News. Intel community assessment delayed amid dispute over whether China sought to influence 2020 election. Now, this is actually a little bit backwards. So let me first explain why this matters. So 2 years ago, 2018, the United States president signed an executive order. And this is why this all matters. And this is why the 18th is why a lot of people are talking about it. So check this executive order on imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. This is the one part that basically, because they have this like cut and dry, throw a blanket on it, is not suitable for YouTube advertisers or whatever. Because again, just so you know, even if you are not monetized, they, under their new services, you have to have ads. Or they can put ads on any video and you don't have any say in it anymore. That's their new terms of service that people signed up to this year. Just saying. So that is, again, why they say that is under the guise of how they can go, oh, well, you can't do this here, you can't say this there, whatever, instead of what some people say it is. It says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, section blah, 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 blah. I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the ability of persons located in whole or in substantial part outside the United States to interfere in or undermine public confidence in the United States elections, all of these words matter, by the way, confidence in United States elections, including through unauthorized accessing of election and campaign infrastructure, or the covert distribution of propaganda and disinformation, constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. Although there has, and this is what's weird, although there has been no evidence of a foreign power altering the outcome or vote tabulation in any United States election, foreign powers have historically sought to exploit America's free and open political system. This is in an executive order. And this was 2 years ago. What foresight, right? In recent years, the proliferation of digital devices and internet-based communications has created significant vulnerabilities and magnified the scope of intensity of the threat of foreign interference, as illustrated in the 2017 Intelligent Community Assessment. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with this threat. It says, accordingly, I hereby order that not later than 45 days, mind you, 45 days is the 18th. It's the last day of Hanukkah. A lot of significance there, but for this case, it is the last day, the deadline. Oh man, this gets so crazy. Not later than 45 days after the conclusion of a United States election, the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the heads of other appropriate executive departments and agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or person acting. Now, by the way, for people, everybody is welcome in Marfoogle News. This isn't even like a taking any side. In fact, this is purely telling you what is physically going on. This is crazy because it doesn't matter what side you're on. If you see what is going on here, it's pretty clear that things are about to get shaken, not stirred. Man. It says, or any person acting as an agent. So I'm not saying these people are. Well, what I am saying is the reasonable doubt has to be there, and an agency has to declare it. It says the assessment, it says, or any person acting as an agent or behalf of a foreign government has acted with the intent or purpose of interfering with that election. It leaves this open-ended thing here, right? It says the assessment shall, within the 45 days, they shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating this foreign government or any person acting as an agent has acted with an intent in interfering. The assessment shall identify, to the maximum extent ascertainable, the nature of any foreign interference and any methods employed to execute it, the persons involved, and the foreign governments or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. The Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, and Attorney General. So just to break down this first part, within 45 days, on the 18th, that's the deadline, a certain person has to basically put this out. Dex, is it correct that Ratcliffe is this person?
Yeah, Ratcliffe is at the head of the DNI. So
Is
yes, he's.
And what? I'm sorry. Do we? Did we just see Trump actually go to an Army football game, an Army Navy football game with him 4 days ago?
Yes, he was spotted 4 days ago attending the Army Navy football game with Trump, where Trump got a huge, standing ovation, a lot of interaction from the crowd there. Obviously, the military college kids and attendees there were really ecstatic. It was a pretty big event that day.
Okay.
And one of the few times he's been out in public here lately. If you noticed, he hasn't really been out much. He's been in.
So it just so happens he basically goes to kind of a funner event with Ratcliffe, who just happens to have come out on CBS News today and said that if you want to cover that part as well, you can. What did Ratcliffe say today?
Oh, so yeah. So a couple of things. One is they did say he's going to delay, right? He came out and said he's delaying not being able to meet the 45 days, which, by the way, I think there was another executive order that allowed him to push it back a few days or push it back sometime. But it was clear that what he did on CBS News today was come out and say that there was interference. There was evidence of interference.
Now, what I'm saying,
so he's sort of signaling to the public, we've got the report, we're putting the report together. It's not going to be ready by Friday, but it will be ready. And we probably already told the president all about it. And, and I've even told the press, that,
so now
that there was specifically, quote, foreign election interference by China, Iran, and Russia in the election of this year.
So whether it's true or not, for the sake of this, doesn't really matter at this point. It's pretty clear to see what is going to happen. Now, 45 days, now the next part, which I won't bore you with this whole thing, but I do encourage you to go read the entire thing. It is very clear in the first two paragraphs what happens. From 45 days, the 18th, the deadline, they have to announce it. He's basically saying we are going to announce, but we've got this report. We can give it to the president, but it's not going to go out to the public yet, which we will probably hear on the 18th, right? And then they have 45 days after this. On the second part, it says, within 45 days of receiving this assessment and information described in Section A, the Attorney General, who happens to be Barr, and actually, T-Man everybody says he's leaving. He's leaving on December 23rd. His last day is December 23rd, which is right before December 24th, which is now a new holiday, and then that's his last day. So he's not done. He's still going to work until December 23rd. And T-Man actually said nice words about him on his way out. People think that, who fired this or that, maybe, who knows. Whatever's going on, doesn't matter. But on top of that, 45 days after this, which is when they need to do that, is February 2nd, which is at least almost 2 weeks after the 20th, which is supposed to be the transition. Do you guys see where I'm getting here? If there is something in here, this very well could stall transition.
Yeah, and Adam, this is sort of hot off the press news too. There's a lot of communication going on right now that the White House administration, basically Trump and others, are ordering most of the White House staff to go ahead and leave and clear out of D.C. now. Or, of course, they're saying, hey, go enjoy your Christmas break, get out now. But literally saying get out now, like now, today.
Now, do we have it? Can you put something that backs that up so we have something that I can pull out of Screener possibly?
I've got some tweets on it. That's why I'm saying it's rumors, but they're coming from inside sources.
Okay, I'm glad.
Apparently.
But we're clarifying that it is rumors. But I guess why would we give it any credence? Who is it from? Do we know?
No, I've just gotten it from 3 different people. I'm trying to find the source on it.
Okay,
So
just
give
work
me
on
a
that.
moment.
Work on that. We'll move on. Executive order. Just so happens that Ratcliffe, the head, the guy that's supposed to give this thing, so by the way, before today when he came out and said, oh, by the way, I do believe this, so that means that he's going to say that there is. If this happens, then boom. Then the 20th comes. They're right in the middle of this interfering thing. That will push it back. If that is the case, imagine what the public will do come actual January 20th. If the crazy stuff's going to go down there, or December 23rd or December 18th, I don't know. Because on the 18th, all this news is going to have to cover the fact that, oh, well, this goes this, and then now they have 45 days, which will put it past the 20th. That's going to shake up everybody that is a supporter of Mr. Biden, and it's going to shake up the whole community. So either side, whatever you support, doesn't matter. What I'm saying is this is very well what's about to play out. So can you guys see why this is such a big deal? And it just so happens they went to a football game, which I knew when we covered it. I'm like, that is kind of funny. But nobody really put it together. That executive order required that specific person to announce this stuff for this whole thing. This is like the last stand kind of thing, or that's what people are calling it. So if you want to read that entire executive order, we will make it available. It is already on our website, so you guys can go with a second device, a tablet, and you can go through it, and you can pick through it and make sure, correct us if we're wrong. It says that the Intel Community Assessment, now this is Fox, this is a public announcement, so this is further backing up from an authoritative source, so we make sure that we are telling you correct information. Intel Community Assessment delayed amid dispute over whether China sought to influence 2020 election. This is the exact piece of stuff that had 45 days, which is the 18th deadline. It says the 2020 intelligence community. So we were saying this, by the way, and this specific scenario, and now it's coming to fruition. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, just giving you more credence about, our sources were right to the T. Like, before they even lost all the cases, knew about this and said, this is crazy stuff. And I am shocked that this is all correct, or at least playing out like it appears to happen. It says, quote, this afternoon, the DNI was notified by career intelligence officials that the intelligence community will not meet the December 18th deadline set by the executive order and Congress to submit the IC's classified assessment on foreign threats to the 2020 U.S. elections. DNI Ratcliffe, FBI, say Russia attempting to interfere with 2020 election. Now, just to prove my point so we know that we're all on the same page. Four days ago, DNI Ratcliffe attends Army-Navy football game with President T-Man. We wonder what they might have discussed. There is, of course, John Ratcliffe. Boom. It says, what went unnoticed on Saturday is that the Director of National Intelligence joined President Trump today at the Army-Navy football game. Are you starting is it starting to hit you what's going on? This is some crazy stuff. And this is not either side. This is what may just play out in front of us is pretty crazy. Occam's Razor, thank you for gifting out Marfia badges to all the new people. I'm sure there's a lot of new people, considering there was over 11,000. I don't know how many is in here now. That's why this is important. I hope that you guys catch a replay. But just to sum up, December 18th is the deadline for the official executive order rule that if somebody from another country was to interfere with this election, they would have to get that report in. DNI says they do believe that there was interference from another country, and because he is saying that, they are able to extend this December 18th. Even if it was on December 18th, they get the report on December 18th, then they have to do the rest of it, and they have until February 2nd. That puts it past the January 20th inauguration, which whoever you support, that very well might put it past the inauguration and could be reason to push it off. What I am saying is imagine the response to this and imagine what is very possible. Not even counting all of the other chatter that is going on right now, which is incredible stuff. And I just proved it to you. We literally put it on a platter for you that we are 100% backed up on this through Associated Press, Fox News. Again, the Gateway Pundit stuff, that's separate. But again, I actually do believe that.
And I have the tweet I was talking about. The source for that current tweet is a fairly big Twitter handle. They've got 85,000 followers. They're not a blue check, obviously, because of the content they cover. But I will say there's other reasons, obviously, with the holiday coming up, but there's also the big snowstorm that's going through as well. So maybe those are other reasons for people to.
And this isn't a guided message,
right?
Is it? It's not saying, oh, they're leaving because of this. They're just saying, hey, they're bouncing out because they're saying, hey, have a nice Christmas. So it just happens.
They're saying they're bouncing out now, and they're telling people, hey, go ahead and get out now. But it could be like, get out now because the snowstorm's coming. Why don't you go home? You're going to be going home anyway. So go now.
So just to show you, always make sure to give you the source. This will be added to the website live.
Yeah, I'm adding it now.
Yeah, see how we do this here? So this is, let's see here. Wait a second. Okay. According to a source close to the White House admin. Oh, no. Don't click on stuff. It says POTUS has ordered most of his White House staff to leave D.C. area and clear out. Something big is about to go down in D.C. And then we have this. By the way, so, okay, this is connected. So, Dex, do you want to explain this too? Ratcliffe also played another part, said that China was trying to access all the CV-19 stuff. Do you want to go over that real quick? This Brandon Beckham.
Yeah, that was part of the CBS News interview that he came out and said that that there was interference in the election.
Okay, let's see here. This one also has an original, which we now have the source and the backup. So another authoritative source confirming exactly the scenario that we are talking about. CBS News with Ratcliffe confirming that they will not be doing this. So we will put that up. It's, for whatever reason, not loading up. Who knows? Maybe too many people are trying to access it. But on the other end, thank you guys. I see everybody. There's a lot of people without Marfia badges now because a lot of people came over for the first time. Thank you guys for gifting those to, obviously, a lot of people that have never wandered off of YouTube and come over here. Cameron Poe, thank you so much for your support. Grandma and AMP. Alien99 says, thank you for your info. I appreciate you guys being here to hear it. April Osborne 13, thank you for being here tonight and modding. Occam's Razor, thank you for gifting out subs to everybody, gifting out the Marfia badge. Again, it is an awesome thing for you guys all to do. Fire in the Sky, thank you for following. We have lots of new followers, so if I do say new followers, make sure to welcome them. Paulie Medina, again, this does not help us to go to do this only. Again, there's no replay value here. I want you guys to know how serious this is. But if you do want to support us in any way, feel free to protect yourself against cyber threats. With everything that's going on right now, I can only further recommend that you guys go and check out Nord. If you have not checked out Nord before, it is one of the easiest programs ever. It is, again, that's marfugelnews.com/Nord, which actually got switched around here. Let's see here. There we go. So I'm going to put this up. If you guys want to support us, this is a way to not only get a savings on it, but it will also make sure that you are protected. It gives you a virtual private network that actually there protects you, again, in public, on Wi-Fi, on all sorts of situations. Again, that's marfugelnews.com/VPN. It hides your IP from the bad guys. You don't get data logged, and you can protect yourself from any cyber attacker, including other governments. So again, try to get into that. If you're not going to go through Nord, I highly recommend getting one of any level. There's no such person that's an expert on computers that does not have a VPN. So again, make sure to get that. It's very easy. You turn it on, you turn it off. It even has an auto mode where you just go click and it's on and it does it all for you. All right, so moving on, let's go over, there's even more. I mean, like, this is just going to keep coming. FBI, CISA, and Office of D&I release statement are pursuing significant cybersecurity incident with SolarWinds Orion products. This, and what a weird, creepy name in the first place, SolarWinds. For whatever reason, that just, it really bugs me. I mean, look at the symbology alone, but just getting over that, this is the cause of one of the most massive hacks in the world. Literally in the world.
Their Wikipedia article said it was just a name. That they have nothing to do with solar power, solar energy. It was just a name. So that just adds more credence to, like, whoa, why would they name it that?
Which SolarWinds are obviously the first thing that comes to mind. EMP, CMEs, like, you know, when did they name it this? Why would they name it that? That's just weird. And I'm not one who normally goes like, oh, this is this, or says there's 8 letters in SolarWinds, so it means this, or any of that. I'm just saying that's kind of weird, and especially considering this all came out right after this huge CME that went right past us. Actually, some of it hit us. The solar flare that just happened, and then another massive solar flare, and then all of this. It's almost just too weird. It says the FBI. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is a Gateway Pundit article, but in reality, this article is producing a piece of information that came from, and you'll see it in the article. It's a joint press release from the government, so it's fact.
And again, this is all what's going on. You won't. This stuff is not going to be actually put out front and center, but you have access to it. That's what's so crazy. We're giving you information that is public, but it's not being talked about publicly, or not as big as it should be. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Just like, you know, say a speech that doesn't get covered by half of the news. Why? It should be just completely equal all the way across the board. They should all be covering the same things, but they're not. And that is why we are here in the first place. It says the 3 government investigative bodies are reportedly working together on the SolarWinds breach that was announced earlier this week. It says a joint statement under the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Cybersecurity. It says over the course of the past several days, the FBI, CISA, the ODNI have become aware of a significant and ongoing, which means it's not over, cybersecurity campaign pursuant to Presidential Policy Directive. The FBI, CISA, and ODNI have formed a Cyber Unified Coordination Group. They actually formed a group over this one event to coordinate a whole of government response to the significant cyber incident. The UCG is intended to unify the individual efforts of these agencies as they focus on their separate responsibility. This is a developing situation. And while we continue to work and understand the full extent of this campaign, we know that this compromise has affected networks within the federal government. Whew! I hope you guys are buckled up. As Jacob Israel would say, buckle up. Because this is about to be vindication, which I did not want. This is about to go, this is huge. I hope people realize how big this is or the possibilities or even the thought of what is possible with this. Maybe they caught it early. Maybe they caught it before whatever. Imagine if they're in every piece of our government, cyberly could shut the whole thing down. Think about if they are shutting people home and they have to reset. What could happen while they're resetting? What could happen while these systems are down? What people could go, because there's things that could happen. So say somebody is traveling from one place to another and they've got a global alert to watch out for these people. Maybe they're terrorists or something like that. They're going through the checkout and the system that they use at the airport that goes directly to an FBI server or a NSA server. Well, that server's down because they're resetting. So does that person get through? This is just an example. Don't know if that would be the case, but think about if the Pentagon is shut down, what could slip by while they are? Or if they even shut down for 20 minutes, what could they do in that 20 minutes? If they shut down for 1 minute, what could they do? I don't have to give you a list of spy movies to say that's something that's realistic. And that's if they're actually counting on the restart or if they have actual control while it's still on. This is giant. And I guarantee you, they're not going to replay it on Fox and redo it, all this. They're not going to circle it around for 24 hours. This isn't the biggest story. I think it's going to be minimized. Who knows? Who knows, though? It says, better to be safe than sorry. Make sure you have plenty of water, food, flashlights, and batteries, candles, radio, Second Amendment supplies, and a plan to meet with leaders of your community. Remember, we only have one president at a time. Our leader is real Donald Trump, not Biden. Now, not trying to do this because it's a pro thing. I'm doing this because this is Lynn Wood, somebody who is in contact with the president. It says, better safe than sorry. I'll show you the original tweet so you know exactly where it came from and that we're not just typing in silly stuff into the screen. If you guys don't know who Lynn Wood is, he was speaking with the legal team with President Trump, and then of course now I believe he's separate, right? He's doing his own thing.
He's got his own cases. He's actually got one on the docket with the Supreme Court. He's also the gentleman that helped the Kenosha kid. And there was another famous one. Oh, remember the MAGA hat kid at the protest that stood still and got by all the major news outlets? He's the one that went and did the defamation case against all the outlets and got that millions and millions of dollars
because he stood where he was and somebody came up to him beating a drum. That was nuts. And they proved it like without a shadow of a doubt that he wasn't harassing, and he got like death threats because they framed it like, oh, he's beating a drum, or he's instigating with the Native American, and then you see the full angle and it was like the reverse situation. Just one of many where news got it completely wrong, ran with the story before they knew everything. This is why I don't think that they should use one camera angle for anything right now. I think the court of law should go, do you have 3 camera angles on it? Because as any director would tell you, framing is everything. And that's why they call it framing. They can frame anybody with one angle. Let's see. Caitlin Charles, 1682. Thank you for following. Welcome over to DLive. I'm glad you guys came over. I'm assuming most of you are from the tube. Let's see here. We've got Grandma Amp, Butter Lulu Bean. Thank you so much for being here. Elk Mama, thank you for your support tonight. Rachel 5050, thank you for your support with ice cream. And then we've got all sorts of folks rolling in. We've got Fire Horse. We've got Ramsey WJ. Love your show, Adam. Thank you. I appreciate that. Love my Fugle fam, says Patricia Heidel. Thank you again. Appreciate that more than you know. And then let's see here. Tonight's top so far. Let's see here. Wow. Incredible. There's 50 notifications. The truth is out there. Thank you. Dex, we might have missed an injet, and I believe must have had to. Truth is out there. I believe just did an injet, so thank you. That is, if you're new to DLive, that's the highest compliment you can pay someone on DLive. So thank you. I appreciate it. You know it's not necessary, but thank you so much. You are the top contributor tonight. Thank you. Occam's Razor with basically just under half of that, which is gigantic. Occam's Razor, thank you so much for your support tonight. Tower Bear, and then Smotty Pants, and Tuck Pup. Thank you guys. Appreciate it more than you know. If I missed the announcement, if Dex, if you could try to find the message that they did with that.
Yeah, I think there's just been a lot of gifting. 'Cause I haven't seen any jets, but both, it looks like now Occam's is ahead of I can't see the name of the other one. The Truth.
Oh my gosh, they're doing like a battle.
Yeah, they're both
Occam's Razor
like 13, but there's been a ton of Marfia.
It looks
subscriptions.
Like you guys are doing Marfia badges. Thank you. Can't say enough. Again, we're going to keep it moving, but Occam's Razor, the Truth is out there. Looks like they're in a battle there, which, of course, thank you for the help. You guys know it's not necessary, but geez Louise, that is one heck of a battle. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. And again, can't say enough. Let's see here. Maria Bartiromo claims an intel source told her that Trump did, in fact, win. Now, this is just somebody saying that Maria Bartiromo claims an intel source told her this. So, whether it be
from
true,
Fox, obviously. So this is coming from mainstream, in the sense that she's Fox News, right? But it's her source. And I think the way we look at this is not just, I know we always say we're not trying to pick sides here, but when we're talking about how loaded or charged this this time of where we stand between now and January, things are just really on edge and heated and locked and loaded on both sides, right?
Yeah, and it says that it says you might have missed it in all the drama of yesterday's electoral college vote, a convention newsworthy insofar as the sitting president has refused to accept the results of the election. He lost by 7 million votes. It says, but Maria Bartiromo, a Fox anchor, on Monday morning cited an intel source declaring that President DT was the winner. It says, challenging election results as we await today's electoral college decision. An intel source telling me that President T-Man did in fact win before all of this. Whatever. I don't know what that means. Again, that's pretty crazy coming from somebody who could easily get fired for a quote like that.
My guess is the intel source, or the fact that you're using that type of quote, probably goes hand in hand with all this DNI information that we don't know anything about, right? Like, it's supposed to come out Friday. It's supposed to be presented to the president. All of that is coming from intel. So, maybe she's trying to leak or break new intel information. I don't know.
Again, we're going to talk about this here in a second. First off, I believe Andrew from the actual company EMP Shield is here, and I just got the notification they were gifting out 5 subscriptions or Marfia badges to people. You guys don't, you don't have to do that. But again, thank you, EMP Shield. Again, I'll be talking about that here in a second. But again, thank you. If you guys haven't worked with them, they are human beings. They are bringing new jobs to the country. They have such an awesome company. You guys got to go check them out. Again, thank you, Andrew. And they do stuff like that with all their creators. It's just amazing. Dominion likely used a version of SolarWinds Orion platform, which provides backdoor access into their machines. Now, again, this is the Gateway Pundit once again. So, Dex, do you want to explain this real quick?
Well, yeah, I guess the thing is that if we're talking about the SolarWinds hack and how prolific it may be across many different things, one of the questions, obviously, going into this election time is Dominion is one of the biggest hardware manufacturers of election equipment. It's been used specifically in a lot of the controversial states where there's a lot of contention right now around whether or not there was wrongdoing. So the fact that there may be a connection here between if they had that software installed in their network or in their systems, then that could have added to a potential vulnerability that those voting systems had.
All of this is just absolutely crazy that SolarWinds is just in and out of all of this. So the more that comes out, the more that this is just getting absolutely nuts. Now, do you guys understand why this was such an important message for us to get out here tonight? Make sure tomorrow's show, I know that a lot of you will be back for tomorrow's show again. Make sure to tell everybody to go and watch this show, because you're not going to be able to say it all in chat, and then somebody new is going to come in and say, what did they say? What did they say? Make sure to just send them here. We got most of some of the really crazy stuff out already. Again, we've got more coming. Jeez, we haven't even gotten to that yet. The White House Director of Social Media, Dan Scavino, released something. I'll get to that here in a minute. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. As far as this goes, again, speaking of which, we were actually right here. Thank you again. EMP Shield, you are the only affiliate that we've ever used that actually comes in and supports us on top of being an affiliate. Like, no one's ever done that. None of our other companies, none of the other affiliates ever do that. And you guys don't have to. And I see you do it with everybody else. I was in Atlas. I've been in other channels, and you do it to them too. So I just think that that's pretty much above and beyond. So thank you. Speaking of which, if you guys have not checked out EMP Shield, again, this is one of the companies now officially on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. They have worked with DHS, DOD. Again, this is protection against all three phases of an EMP. For obvious reasons, I don't think I need to explain to you why you might want to protect your house, your car, your RV, your generator, your boat, even your ham radio against one of these events. Again, it's been talked about by experts for years as one of the biggest threats. Now, where we're sitting right now, it is one of the largest on the docket. So much so, speaking of executive orders tonight, I believe it was last year or 2018, the same year that he signed this other executive order we were talking about tonight. He signed an order basically telling them to redo the grid and to basically harden the grid immediately because of the state it was in. When they did that, that was, of course, because the Department of Homeland Security did an EMP resilience report that said if we got a massive EMP and knocked out our grid, that it might take 9 months to 2 years to get back up and running. And 90% of us would perish. 90% of us. 375 million. That's a whole lot. So, if you guys want to help us, we get a small commission. At the same time, you get a big discount. You get $50 off per device, and that usually stacks with any sale that they're already doing. You can go to marfugelnews.com/EMP. Thank you guys for doing that in advance. All right, and then getting into the next story, Stephen M200, thank you. I appreciate that, seriously. White House Director of Social Media Dan Scavino released this tweet last night, which was later taken down. What's he telling us? So Daniel Scavino Jr. is an American political advisor serving the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications and Director of Social Media for the White House. Last night, Scavino reportedly put up a tweet only to have it taken down a short time later. It says, historical moment in the Oval. Will share what it was one of these days when I can. It says, an individual at the Donald.win reported the story first. Apparently, Dan Scavino put up a tweet showing the picture above, and he shared historical moment in the Oval. Will share what it was one of these days when I can.
So this definitely has
This has Ratcliffe. Is that
Twitter,
Ratcliffe?
lit up, right? And I can't tell if that's him or not in there, but yeah, the
looks like
question
him
now is
over here.
everybody's trying to identify who was in this picture and when it was. I think there's questions that it might have been a month ago. It might not have been recent because there's leaves on the trees, but then again, it may be recent if depending on the type of trees that are outside that window.
Oh my gosh.
This is one of those fun rabbit holes. That's all it is. Put it out there, let people go dig into it. He put it up and then he took it down for some reason. And everybody wants to know why and everybody's digging in. So
I think that's him. Look at the previous let's see here. I also think it's kind of crazy I think it's kind of crazy which show you ended up popping in on, considering what you guys know. Let's see. Hammock here forever. Stay safe and healthy. Thanks to Mia Beach for turning me on to you and Dex. You said Jax, so you may be very new, but Dex, it was probably a what do you call it? A typo, or I have an accent. Hammocker forever. Just is, I believe, number 17 in all-time history that has done a Ninjet. So that is pretty amazing. Awesome. Hammocker forever. Thank you.
18.
And 18. Oh, okay. I'm glad now you've got the list up. Thank you. So cannot say much more than that. Hammocker forever. Thank you for supporting independent journalism. Thank you. Again, it makes up, stuff like that makes up for the fact that, we're not doing this on all platforms. So thank you. So go into that. Go check the photos out. You can go access that yourself on marfugelnews.com. You can look at the picture, compare it with Ratcliffe and others. If it was Ratcliffe and the leaves, obviously it was months ago, then something's going on. That would be a huge deal. Occam's Razor, Shirley Angel, thank you. Go ahead,
Adam. And before you go to the next article, as we're on this topic of rabbit holes, I got an interesting one for people to dig into, but but it's totally suspect and it's coming from Dex only. So it's just an opinion. So I want to put that out there. There was, and if you guys haven't heard this, there was an automobile accident in Georgia that involved a campaign staffer for Loeffler. And he was a young man who was dating the governor's daughter. Okay. And as you know, the governor is tied into a lot of what's going on with the election stuff. And he's been very silent, not doing things that one side wants him to do, or doing things that maybe another side wants him to do. We're not sure. But what's interesting is it's come out as the investigator who was investigating the accident has now recently died of a suicide.
Was he
that interesting?
Was he in Arkansas?
No, this is all in Georgia. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about this car crash, and unfortunately the kid died, and it's horrible, but the people around it said it sounded like a bomb went off. The engine block was blown 60 feet away from the car. And of course, the car's frame was melted to the ground from the fire, which, cars look bad in a car fire. And I'm sure there are car fires that can melt the frame, but this was extreme. So there's a lot of things on this subject.
So it was like a paradise.
Given the ties.
It was like a paradise crash.
Yeah. So this is one of those rabbit holes. If you guys want to go look into, there's lots of things out there. I'm not going to purport any of this as that it's necessarily tied to anything, but there are a lot of dots that are easy to connect there. The facts are the kid did die in a car crash on the way to Savannah, I believe. He is a Loeffler staffer for her campaign. He was dating the governor's daughter. The governor appointed Loeffler. Everybody's pissed at the governor for not doing what he's supposed to be doing. So you can then start to look into the rest and the investigator who was investigating it. I think he was from the GBI, if I remember, which is Georgia Bureau of Investigations. I think that's where he was from. He just was announced dead from suicide. So there's a rabbit hole for you. I just want to put that one out there.
Oh,
go
my
Go look it up if you want to have fun with that one.
Think about how big Georgia plays a part in all this. If something was to turn around and come out, who would be to blame? Wow. Says Maryland Governor Larry Hogan activating National Guard to assist with the V. So it says that apparently that they are having the National Guard come in. It says Maryland Governor Larry Hogan announced on Tuesday that he is reactivating the National Guard in order to assist in planning and distributing the CV vaccine. It says that announced that the governor made the announcement while updating the state on its response to the CV. It says the National Guard will also provide support for the state's response to critical problems in facilities like nursing homes. The first lot of doses will go out to the state hospitals, nursing homes within the first next week. And it says Hogan said he will take the vaccine as soon as he can, but he will not jump the line ahead of frontline workers. I think one thing I would like to see though is like somebody like that at the announcement, they're there for the picture, say, hey, switch, and you do it first, like on the spot, not expecting it, and see if they take it. You know what I mean? Like, not like set up with a lady like this. Like, remember, what was it? What country was that? It was like Germany or something. Was it the German president, the woman who got this other V scene, and then later on the picture they said the cap is on. Do you remember that, Dex? Basically somebody
I remember.
pointed.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm getting it, and they're like, but there's a cap on it. You didn't really actually take it.
Basically the photo zoomed in, and then what their excuse is she did take it, and then they admitted to retaking the photo because, oh, well, we didn't get a good angle or the lighting wasn't good, so they retook the photo. Do you guys remember that? There's just a lot of flipping, just weird stuff. This is 2020, folks. We are in a different world. Our kids, I'm praying to Jesus Christ that my kids will have a world to grow up in that's not horrible. No matter who wins or loses, I am praying for my children to have a future. I cannot believe my 1-year-old is a year and a half, just starting to talk, has not lived in a world where she actually remembers with people without masks. Children her age are not going to understand facial expressions. They're not going to understand. They're not going to see that. My 5-year-old, instead of going in kindergarten and playing with other kids on the playground, they're in school for 6 hours in front of a laptop. She was so happy. She hates school. She was so excited for 2 years. Now that we actually started school, it's now, 4 months in, whatever it is. She hates it. It's just the stupidest thing. There's 30 kids, 30 different screens. It's not set up for it. She sits there, raises her hand for 20 minutes, never gets called on because he can only see one kid at a time half the time. It's just, what effect is this going to have on the children? Like, we can handle it. We're adults. Think about what these kids are going through right now. Think about the kids that aren't going to Thanksgiving because their family is sanitizing and freaking out. It's just horrible. Everything is horrible right now. Not sugarcoating it. Badger Babe, thank you so much. Thank you guys. Lady Green Eyes, Geisy, June M. Ashley, Shirley Angel, Nafslin, thank you. Occam's Razor, thank you again for all your support tonight. Huge. June M. Ashen, Tabessa, Canadian, thank you for following. Welcome to the Fugel fam. Make sure to welcome any new names that we end up doing. And absolutely insane. Thank you guys. So that's happening. My state is doing it. Alaska healthcare workers suffers adverse reaction after CV. I'm going to let you guys go over this, but it says basically a healthcare worker in Alaska is doing well after suffering an adverse reaction minutes after receiving Pfizer's V. It says officials said the healthcare worker, and again, there's cameras all over all of this, who is identified as a middle-aged woman, had an allergic reaction within 10 minutes of receiving the first of the 2-dose jab and was still being observed in the hospital foyer at the time of the incident. Luckily, here's the thing that I don't get about this new thing that hasn't been tested 100%. How are they already talking about putting it into CVS and like Rite Aid? Dex, imagine if this lady was in a Rite Aid or like a Walgreens, getting the V, and then she has an adverse reaction. What if the 911 doesn't get there soon enough?
Yeah, I just better hope that the Walgreens has EpiPens, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's what it sounds like. It was anaphylactic reaction, and yeah, so it is the byproduct of rushing, right? Like if we could wait 4 years and test all the potential scenarios and what does it mean when somebody has it for 4 years or all those things, or we can bypass some of that and produce something sooner. That's sort of the trade-off, right?
Well, what I think is that if that does happen, it's not. I don't think it's a trade-off so much. But again, it's just crazy in general. Speaking of
it's like the other thing they reported on it was fertility. They were like, hey, don't get pregnant if you're taking it, because they haven't studied it, right? A lot of people think it means that it's going to do something specific, but in reality, they need 2 years. Like you got to have people actually go through pregnancies and birth children and not be pregnant and get pregnant, right? And then see what happens to the child after they're born. You can't compress all that time down, right? It's impossible. So I get it. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I'm just saying I understand the technicalities of what testing involves, right? And there's certain scenarios you just can't test without time.
Well, and I don't think people realize that a lot of these vaccines have actually gone through and been officially put through because of the laws that they passed through, that they wouldn't let politics stop a vaccine. They changed laws and rules and things like this. And there are some pretty famous ones that went into effect with very little testing, if you actually look at the records of it. But one thing... You mentioned EpiPen. One, if you're going to do it, if you end up making that decision, I would say make sure you're in a place with an EpiPen, as long as it didn't kill itself. But also, speaking of EpiPen, what happened to that story? Why did that disappear off the face of the earth? Somebody on Twitter said, because people are just drones. They go on to the next story and they just forget the last. What happened with what's-her-face? What happened with everything? What happened to the line of celebrities that, why aren't they telling us who these hundreds of celebrities that were basically going there for trafficking? I don't get it. What, all of this is going down in the same year. This is insanity, people. Let's see here. Just flipping nuts. In the same 12-month period, from 2019 into 2020. This is just absolutely insane. Insane. Kenyan man charged with plotting a 9/11-style attack on the U.S. It says federal authorities on Wednesday unsealed an indictment charging a Kenyan man with trying to stage a 9/11-style attack on the United States on behalf of the terrorist organization Al-Shabaab. It says Cholo Abdi Abdullah, 30, who was arrested in the Philippines 2019, was transferred to a U.S. custody Tuesday on charges he conspired to hijack an aircraft and slam it into a building. He pleaded not guilty to terrorism-related charges during a brief court appearance Wednesday, and he was ordered to be held without bond. He faces a mandatory minimum 20 years in prison if convicted. His defense attorney declined to comment. Wow. So it says that prosecutors said Abdullah got flight training in the Philippines between 2017 and 2019 and obtained a pilot's license in preparation for an attack. Okay, one thing I want to point out here, this is extremely important, people. How many hijackers were in 9/11? This is one man. How many other people were training separately? I'm sure they had to go to multiple countries or multiple poor places to get these poor schmucks to do this horrific thing. Also, remember that Iran, Soleimani was taken out, and what Trump publicly said and what was publicly accepted, what DOD and all these other places said, is they said that Soleimani was planning a 9/11 attack that planning attack that would make 9/11 look like it was just tiny. Like it was nothing compared to what they were planning. And they only they took out Soleimani, but they didn't get his right-hand man. Is that not freaky or what? So,
yeah, that's crazy, Adam. You know, they said this guy went so far as to figure out how to breach the new cockpit doors that they've put in, and finding what the tallest building in the U.S. was. That was part of the research they found on him.
Which one is it?
I didn't say. I don't know what the tallest one in America is. Probably it might actually now be the Freedom Tower. Maybe not.
Would that not? I mean, that would be
the Sears Tower's tall. Freedom Tower's tall. In America, I'm trying to think of what else is really that high.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to search that. Hell no.
No, I don't either.
My gosh.
But it didn't say it in the article, but it did say he searced it, and he also searred how to breach that cockpit door. Steal ones. So
I'm like, I'm not searching that. No, nope, ain't gonna get me on that. Oh man, that was a close one. Well, you guys just guess. Take a guess. I'm not searching that on my thing. Anyways, yeah. That is concluding all of the stuff today. I do want to remind you, if you don't want to be tracked and traced, I highly recommend you guys go with an eDeck. eDeck is a Faraday bag. Basically, no RF signal gets out or in. Once you put your phone, your device, or even your keys, they are protected. Not only are they protected, they also are not sending out signals. They're not receiving signals. No upstream surveillance. You're not being listened to. Once it's in there, it's off. It's boom. It's and it doesn't harm your phone. It protects it. Again, this is somebody said, hey, do they make a thing for key fobs and things like this? This is what you need. Just pop it in the smaller bag, or you can get the big bag, put your phone, multiple phones, and your keys in there. Again, that's marfugelnews.com/edeck. Again, they also make a utility bag that has a window where you can use the touchscreen. Some people go, well, if you don't have a phone, what good would that be? Some people even play games through the window, but, without sending messages back and forth. But again, that is when you travel around and you don't want that being logged, or you don't want to be contact traced and said, hey, you were at a 7-Eleven next to this guy, and now this guy supposedly has this. This is kind of the steps you have to take. Just so you know, your phone, if you go into health settings, you will see that they added a tracing thing that is off by default. But as Edward Snowden said, who knows if that's true. Biblical Smackdown Snowboard. Great show, Adam, Dex. Thank you, guys. Dex, again, there was no callers. I wanted to get this all in one chunk so you guys realize the importance of it. Seriously, we will be back tomorrow. Make sure to remind everybody to go over, get this out to friends and family. Make sure they see this. What could happen very well, we will see absolute chaos if this is really what's going to happen. And I bet you I know which side it will be. So have food, have prep. And on top of this, the whole thing with December 18th and everything else, which is a Friday, make sure to have just a basic amount of cash out at least if you can. If you can't, make sure to have supplies, food, water. Again, weirdly, everybody across the country is lined up for these food banks and everything else. So you might want to do that as well if you don't have the ability to get prep supplies.
And Adam, I would add to that, if December 18th comes and passes, we're not saying it's the 18th.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
It's the time is right between now and say the end of January that something is about to pop hard. And I think that there's a lot of things saying it's going to happen sooner than that. And you just need to, we want everyone to be prepared. Like the 18th passes, don't be like, oh, it's party time, everything's good. I think you should have your head on a swivel all the way through into January and then some.
Yeah.
So we don't know when
I'm
it's
glad
happen.
you clarified that. December 18th is not a solid date. December 24th is also being thrown around a lot because this is the first time ever that the White House has declared it a national holiday. So everybody, even whether this source is right about everybody at the White House going home and all this and the Pentagon shutting down stuff, it will be an authoritative fact that this is going to be the first time where Christmas Eve, they're sending everybody home at the Pentagon. So that is also on a Thursday. Then it's going to be a 4-day weekend. If that's the case, we don't know what, and banks are a part of this hack. That's why people are saying, make sure to have a basic amount out if you have a cash machine. Everybody uses card now. Nobody uses cash. Well, what happens when that shuts down and stores go back to manually doing stuff? I also want to point out Target. This is not all anywhere on the news, but I was at Target the other day and they said nationwide their system was down. Nobody talked about this. They said that they couldn't use their computers and they were writing down sales. I can't find it anywhere. And when I asked, they said, oh no, it's all the stores. And I said, all the stores in Washington? He's like, no, the whole country. Why is this not news? It was news last time. Maybe it was negative. It negatively reflected them last time because that's happened. I want to say since March, but either way, Target went down. Walgreens went down just the other day. Barnes & Noble yesterday. I went and got some books. They said that their system is down and they had to hand type in every barcode. Are they related? I don't know. But I think everybody should be getting everything in line for possibilities. Again, Hammaker Forever, thank you. Again, number 18 on the Ninjet list, so thank you so much. Tonight, absolute crazy support. I'm going to make sure to go through the top 15 tonight. It is now time for the shoutro. Dex, my internet brother, thank you so much. Much love. Again,
much love. Great show.
Make sure to share this with everybody. Officially, make sure just to get them to the website. All right, and Be safe. Be prepared. And Marv out.